Hello, Year 3, and welcome to Lesson 20. Today we're going to be adding fractions and then simplifying fractions. So that might not make sense from the title, but I'm sure by the end of the lesson that you'll understand really well. So here I have 11 shapes, circles, not perfect circles, and I'm actually going to pretend that they're quarters. Each one is a quarter. I'm representing this. Now, as you can see, if we counted these, I would have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, which we know is 1, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4, 9/4, 10/4, 11 quarters. Already, we know that this is a bit different than what we've been looking at, because in this case, our numerator is a greater number than our denominator. So this means that we need to simplify it. What we want to have is our numerator is less than our denominator, because here our denominator, normally it's been split into quarters, but obviously here we have more than one. So our job is to figure out how many quarters it's become. Now, let's look at this a bit differently. First, I said that those were quarters. What if now, instead of quarters, they were actually sixths? So I already know that my denominator is going to be 6 now, but how many do I have? Well, I still would have 11 sixths because I haven't changed any. 1 6, 2 6, 3 6, 4 6, 5 6, 6 6, 7 6, 8 6, 9 6, 10 6, 11 6. Again, our numerator is much more than our denominator. What if this time I said instead of quarters, instead of 6, these were representing ninths? My denominator would be 9, and my numerator, well, again, it's still going to be 11. Now, all of these need to be simplified because our numerator is much greater. It's a greater number than our denominator for each of these. The only way I know that we could have the same was if these were 11th 11ths. Then we would know that that would be 1. But that's not what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at how we can simplify these by adding. Now, here I've gone back to represent my quarters. Let's count them again. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, 8/4, 9/4, 10 quarters, 11 quarters. Very similar to our other example. What do you think the first step would be? Hopefully you've said that we should group them and you are spot on. But how many quarters does it take to make one whole group? It's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, but 4 quarters would make one group. And that's exactly what you need to do today. So this, 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be one group. Well, look, here's another group, 1, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters. Oh, and I have 3 left over. So to make this look a bit neater, I'm going to put them in rows. So that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4 quarters, and that's 1. Again, this is 2. So now we know that 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is equal to 4 quarters, which is equal to 1. That's the same for this one. I have 4 quarters. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is going to be 4 quarters. Remember, we're only adding the numerators, which is equal to 1. Easy. Oh, now here, let's see, what are we left with? 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Add the numerators, 3, and then the denominator stays the same, 3 quarters. Now, all we have to do is simple as this, is add these 3 together. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, and then we keep this, 3 quarters. So we know that 11 quarters is equal, in simplified terms, is 2 3 quarters. Let's look at this again. This time I've used money. I've used 50p. And the reason I've done this is because this is half of a pound, and it's a really great way to see how this is important with our math. So let's see how many 50p's we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We have 13 50p's. Again, my first step is going to be to group them. So how many 50p's would I need to make one whole? Would I need 50 of them? Of course not. I would just need 2, because 50 plus 50 is 100, and in this case, 50 plus 50 is equal to 1 pound. Same thing with fractions. Half and half is equal to a whole. So I would group them into 2s. So that's 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, 4 group, 5 group, 6 group, and 1 left over. Again, this is a bit messy, so I'm going to put them in rows. So this is my first group. My second group, again, I'm just doing 2 because we know that a half and a half is a whole. There's another group. So that's already 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 1 more because I have 13. Now, let's look at this. This would be a half plus a half. So 1 plus 1 in our numerator would be 2 over 2. So that is equal to 1 whole. Again, same thing here. All of these we know is equal to 1 whole. This again is the same thing. These are halves plus another half. And we know that that is equal to 2 over 2, because we've added our numerator and our denominator is the same, but we know that the equivalent fraction is 1. So we've already done 3. Do this one as well, and another one, and last one, because this one we only have 1 part of it. We would need another one to make it a whole. Now we just need to add them together. So 1 plus 1 plus 1, 3, plus 1, 4, plus 1, 5, plus 1, 6. So we have 6 pounds and then 50p. So in this case, I could put my dot, 50. But if we're looking in fractions, we know that this is also 6 and a half. So we know in this case, we had 13 halves, didn't we? There were 13 over 2 if we wanted to group that. And now we know that that is equal to 6 and a half. There we go. So the rest of your work, you'll have it as fractions instead of shape, but it should be simple enough. You can add them together, but I think the best way is for you to group them just like we've done. Remember, which one are you grouping them in? If you're finding quarters, you're grouping into 4s. If you're finding fifths, you're grouping into 5s. If you're finding tenths, you're grouping into groups of 10. Remember, your denominator is going to tell you how many groups you need to make. And then whatever is left over, that's going to be it. It might be that you need to add a few like we did. So it was 3 quarters. This one, we just had 1 left. So it was just a half. That was easy enough. So enjoy that and then have fun simplifying fractions.